You know, the economy is about to implode. I mean, that much is pretty sure.
We've heard of Bitcoin. We've heard of Ethereum. You familiar with XRP and the efforts of Ripple?
I didn't have any idea that Ripple was going to become the kind of thing that it has become here.
They understand that this is a once-in-a-generation opportunity.
Ripple and XRP are going to be the global standard.
A single global payment network that connects literally everyone.
It's here. This year. It's here. It is here already. Yeah, I see.
It's my belief, based off of all the fundamentals that I've been seeing the past few years, is that we are well positioned and a lot further ahead than most people realize.
300 plus customers.
Using ODL for me as a customer has been a game changer.
On-demand liquidity is a feature offered within RippleNet that helps customers eliminate the need to pre-fund an account in the destination country where they're sending funds.
There's $27 trillion sitting in these bank-to-bank accounts. They're called Nostro accounts, Vostro accounts.
Bank money!
We're near an inflection point.
This may be your last hurrah here to try to get it in on precious metals and cryptocurrencies.
The real crisis is a dollar crisis. All the money the Fed is printing isn't going to have value. It's not going to buy anything. Prices are going to skyrocket. And in fact, this coronavirus is accelerating that process.
We need to go to a global virtual currency. Cash is trash.
And cryptocurrencies such as Ripple are vying for a spot in the cashless world.
How can I say this another way, people? I've been at this for years. Load up.
XRP. Going to the moon.
At the end of the day, when the music stops, if you're holding dollars or the equivalent, treasuries, muni bonds, corporate bonds, I don't care if your money is in the bank or under your mattress, you're getting wiped out.
Once this breaks out, we're going to hit 21, 26, 51, and then it's off to the fucking races forever, folks.
Look at where we're at and think to yourself about where we are going. There is no turning back. There is only one way to go, and that is forward.
When he had opened the third seal, I heard the third beast say, "Come and see." And I beheld, and lo, a black horse, and he that sat on him had a pair of balances in his hand. And I heard a voice in the midst of the four beasts say, "A measure of wheat for a penny, and 3 measures of barley for a penny, and see thou hurt not the oil and the wine.
El único país donde la plata la botan en fajo. En fajo, bebé. República Bolivariana de Venezuela. Mire cómo está la plata, mire, mire. Mire cómo está el billete, mire. Miren, bebé. Ay, dolor, me volviste a dar. Qué lujo, qué lujo. Qué lujo, qué lujo, qué lujo, qué lujo, qué lujo.
I'd like to give a shout out to XRP Chiz for the train station clip. It's one of my favorite XRP montages on the internet. I understood everything that he was trying to say to me in that video. Like, I literally got chills the first time I seen it because I understood what it meant and what's to come for XRP. The train leaving the station, the matrix code. If you hold XRP right now, you are a literal glitch in the matrix. Because the elites, through Ripple, are planning their endgame. And by the time this great reset is over, there will be only two kinds of people in this world. Those who hold XRP, who will own everything. Everything. And those who hold CBDCs, who will own nothing and be happy. A clear-cut two-tier society. And as the Fed continues to inflate the money supply and devalue the dollar, fiat currency will eventually die, resulting in the hyperinflation of XRP. Let's talk about it. I like to start this presentation off with a quote from Warren Buffett, who said, "When interest rates are zero, asset prices could be infinite." Let's talk about Ray Dalio. Ray Dalio is one of my favorite billionaires. I follow Ray Dalio on Twitter. If you don't know who Ray Dalio is, Ray Dalio recently went viral at Davos 2020 in the World Economic Forum for this quote, "Cash is trash." And ever since he said that, I've been loading up on precious metals and cryptocurrency. Now, Ray Dalio has been recently dropping gems in the mainstream media. I got another video coming out on Ray Dalio. But this is an article that was posted by Yahoo on December 22nd, 2021, where Ray Dalio says your cash savings are not safe and will be taxed by inflation. Build a hedge with 3 alternative places to stash your money. These are the 3 places that Ray Dalio suggests. 1. Bitcoin. 2. Gold. 3. Fine art. Now, Ray Dalio recently said that Bitcoin is, quote unquote, almost a younger generation's alternative to gold. Let's move on. Let's talk about Gregory Mannarino. I follow Gregory Mannarino every day. You should subscribe to Gregory Mannarino's YouTube channel and visit his website at traderschoice.net. But Gregory Mannarino recently said that the US dollar is losing approximately 1% of its purchasing power every month. Every month. But you don't have to believe me. You can hear it from Greg yourself.
1 month ago, Greg Manarino, some guy named Greg Manarino, looks exactly like me, also flipped out when they were doing the same thing. We had a blowout number apparently with retail sales. What are people doing? In that video a month ago, I told you what they were doing. People are dumping dollars. They're dumping them in this environment of surging inflation. People, this is nothing new. You don't believe Greg Manarino, whoever he is? Look back on history at any economy, pick one, it's up to you, where they've experienced inflation like we're seeing now. People want to dump those dollars and acquire things with those dollars before they lose even more purchasing power. People, the Bureau of Labor Statistics just last week, and I covered this, their own study, okay, this is what they're allowing us to know, is that the US dollar is losing approximately 1% of its value every single month. So what would you do? If you knew tomorrow your dollars were going to be worth less than they are today, which they will, what are you going to do? You're going to want to hoard them? You want to pile up those dollars all over your lovely desk? No, you want to get rid of them. You want to get rid of those dollars and buy something while it still has a percentage of its purchasing power.
You need to get out of dollars. Time is running out for fiat currency. Let's talk about the Consumer Price Index, also known as the CPI. The CPI measures inflation within the economy. This is an article from January 12, 2022 from CNBC, which says inflation rises 7% over the past year, highest since 1982. The Consumer Price Index, an inflation gauge that measures costs across dozens of items, rose 7% in December from a year earlier, the fastest pace since 1982. You know things are bad when they're bringing things up from 40 years ago when you weren't even born. They're talking about inflation has never been this high since the Jimmy Carter era. In fact, we just got the CPI number for January today, and inflation rose once again to 7.5%. So the price of everything is continuously going up. Let's move on. Okay, let's talk about these charts. I got a couple of charts that I want to talk to you about that shows the United States' current financial situation. Okay, so let's talk about this chart over here in the top left. This is a chart that measures the US dollar's purchasing power in correlation to the amount of currency in circulation. And as you can see, the more money we print, the value of our currency goes down. It's real simple. In fact, if you look at this chart below it, titled The Rise and Fall of the Dollar, it measures our purchasing power of the US dollar between 1913 and 2019. And as you can see, every time a recession hit, the value of our currency went down. And in fact, our currency has been devalued so much. A $100 bill in 1913 is basically worth $10 in 2019. And when the next financial crisis hits, there's going to be nothing left to devalue. The dollar will become toilet paper at that point. Now let's talk about this chart over here in the top right. This is a chart from the Federal Reserve that measures our GDP, the green line, in correlation with our debt, the red line. Now, as you can see, our GDP is not keeping up with the amount of debt that we are spending. This is a problem. Not only is our GDP not keeping up with the debt, but we have millions and millions of Americans dropping out of the workforce, which means less tax revenue for the government, less tax revenue to pay interest on the debt, which means that this debt can never be repaid. it can never be repaid. America is on the verge of default. And if you look at the chart below us, you can see that our national debt just hit $30 trillion. Our debt to GDP ratio is now 124%. America is a sinking ship. In fact, 80% of all US dollars in existence were printed in the last 22 months, from 4 trillion in January 2020 to 20 trillion in October 2021. The money printer go burr. Now let's talk about Scott Minerd. Scott Minerd is a billionaire bond investor and an advisor to the New York Fed. He knows the inside and inner workings of the Federal Reserve, and he is saying on the global stage that there is no exit plan for the central banks. You should hear this.
About 3 weeks ago, Scott Minerd was on a Milken Institute panel speaking about the likely coming change to the chairman of the Fiat Federal Reserve. The likely coming chair is going to be a closet MMT proponent, claiming that inflation is good for us, but likely only behind closed doors as this PSYOP gets going.
Scott, you help advise the New York Fed. You talk to those guys. How are you thinking about this idea about who will make up the FOMC and how that determines what our interest rate regime looks like?
Sure. Well, I think that, obviously, the president's going to get an opportunity here to make a lot of changes at the Fed. And clearly he's going to lean in the dovish direction. And so he's getting a lot of pressure from the left. Honestly, I think I know President Biden. He's a great man. I don't think he understands monetary policy, so he'll probably go with that. But, to Manny's comment and to your earlier question, for the time being, we're just addicted to this. Yeah. And there is no exit plan for the central banks. And the central banks are functioning in a role that they were never designed to do. The role of the central bank was to provide marginal liquidity at the times of crisis, and then to withdraw it after the economy started to stabilize and come back. The central banks are now running the markets. And to David's comment earlier, you asked him, the Powell put, the market clearly believes that there is a put on credit, and the day will come when we test that put, and that will be a very interesting day, because I think the reaction function is one where the Fed will be forced to just do the same thing again and provide liquidity.
Did you just hear that bond market billionaire insider? Look forward to yet more infinite QE and fiat currency creation ahead in the next crisis.
When the Fed begins to tighten and raise interest rates, the markets will begin to crash, and the Federal Reserve will have no choice but to cut interest rates back to zero and print even more money than they did the last time, devaluing the currency even more. There is no exit plan for the central banks. In fact, it has been decided at the highest levels of government that we're just going to kill the dollar. You don't have to believe me. You can hear it from these officials from Obama's cabinet.
You're in charge. You're in charge of this thing called the United States government/budget, and it gives you political and fiscal authority to do, quote unquote, the right thing. Yeah. Would you mark to market balance sheets today and create the economic downside that would follow, or would you put in place or attempt to put in place some kind of economic policies to get you to a better place down some theoretical road?
I mean, how do you solve a problem where you're spending 10% of, you're running a 10% fiscal deficit? You're not going to get growth in the absence of private sector credit demand. So the government's idea right now is we're going to export our way out of this. And when I asked a senior member of the Obama administration last week, how are we going to grow exports if we won't allow nominal wage deflation? And he says, we're just going to kill the dollar. And I said, okay, more you mean. So that's the only answer. And
that's a dead answer.
It's a dead answer, but that's where we're headed.
We're just going to kill the dollar. And so let's talk about possible scenarios for the end game. Victor Sparadio is a millionaire investment trader who has a theory that the United States is going to experience hyperinflation. You need to hear this.
We are backed in a corner. Massive inflation is mainly how the fiat Federal Reserve will, quote, solve this growing graft, insider corruption, and financial coup via nominally devaluing the nation's fiat currency unit's purchasing power to get out from under its inability to pay it off in real value terms, and therefore not legally defaulting. All you need is over 50% inflation per month for 4 months straight. Now, I didn't prescribe that. I'm merely reminding you of an in-game transitional thesis of what a longtime shrewd financial trader said in late June 2020.
If you have 30 trillion in debt, as we have roughly at the end of this year, I'm talking December, and you're never going to pay it back, but you can inflate it away, you can do it in 4 months, at 50% at hyperinflation rates, and then it would be over. You'd have about 10% of the debt left, about 3 trillion, and the rest would be inflated away. So you only need to do this for 4 months. So in my view, that's the end game. It's going to be hyperinflation for a very short period of time. Everybody's going to go crazy, go through the roof. Venezuela's done this now. I mean, they're still walking and talking over there. I mean, Maduro's still, that president. I mean, it only takes 4 months. And what happens is 90% of whatever you have in cash is gone in 4 months.
Of course, Victor's in-game thesis is likely years out into the future, and hopefully does not come to pass. But it's a real possibility in that record-in-debt governments often choose inflation over bankruptcy as the easier way out when cornered by their collective actions and comeuppance. That is it for this week's update. Take great care of yourselves and those you love.
And so the debt can never be repaid. And so instead of defaulting, the government has decided to devalue the currency. Victor said that whatever you have in cash will be inflated away. 90% of its value will be gone in 4 months. That is absolutely terrifying. Hyperinflation. I can't believe we're being compared to Venezuela, but this is America now. One day we're going to wake up in Bidenzuela. It's already trending on Twitter. Bear shells Biden. You're gonna see it. You better prepare, because the end game is upon us. And so what is the value of XRP as the dollar goes to zero? There is no limit to XRP. There is no limit to how high the value of XRP can go. In fact, I'm going to show you how quickly you're going to lose your purchasing power compared to XRP. Now, this is the hyperinflation of XRP. Now, my original goal was 10,000 XRP. I believe 10,000 XRP is a solid number. That's not financial advice. But when you compare 1,000 XRP to 10,000 XRP, when XRP hits $10, 1,000 XRP will be worth $10,000. But 10,000 XRP at $10 will be worth $100,000. And so I believe that extra zero makes a major difference once XRP moves. And so 10,000 XRP. I started buying in 2019 around 25 cents. My goal was 10,000. Now, 10,000 XRP at 10 cents was $1,000. If you were like me, if you're watching this video, you were probably scooping up XRP at 25 cents like a mad lad. But as you can see, once XRP hits $1, it's already over for the average peasant. 10,000 XRP at $1 will cost $10,000. It's already game over. And once XRP hits 10,000, the average person will be priced out because XRP, 10,000 XRP at $10 will be worth 100 grand. These people will never get 10,000 XRP. They'll be lucky to get 100. But that's not the end. When XRP hits $100, that 10,000 XRP will be worth $1 million. And at that time, there will never, ever, ever see 10,000 XRP. And don't let on-demand liquidity kick in. See, XRP at $100, that's nothing. That's just 10 trillion in Nostro Vostro. But when XRP on-demand liquidity and the liquidity hub kicks in, and XRP is worth over $1,000 like it was predicted in the Wall Street Journal, that 10,000 XRP will be worth $10 million. $10 million. And that will ensure a two-tier society where the average person will never, ever get 10,000 XRP. You better load up your bags while you still have purchasing power, because the hyperinflation of XRP is upon us. Now, in conclusion, the hyperinflation of XRP is a tale of two cities. It is the best of times. It is the worst of times. A two-tier society. Ultimately, it's up to you what type of time you want to live in. I've been doing my part to warn the masses of the greatest wealth transfer of all time. And I realize I'm not going to be able to save everyone. But if I can at least improve one person's ability to survive this great reset, then my mission was not in vain. Share this video. Lives depend on it. While you still have purchasing power, you better load up your bags, because the future is Snowpiercer. Snowpiercer is a movie that stars Chris Evans. It's a post-apocalyptic scenario where majority of humanity has been wiped out and the planet has been frozen, right? And the remaining humans have been riding on this train for over 30 years. And if you watch this movie, this is a great movie. There are a lot of metaphors in this movie that connect and symbolize the Great Reset. If you haven't seen this movie, you need to watch it. But this movie, On the Train, was a two-tier society. Those who lived in the front of the train lived lavish lifestyles, ate the best food, and those in the back of the train were literal peasants who lived in squalor. And so this movie has a lot of symbolism in it connected to the Great Reset. And this train has already left the station. The question is, are you going to be on the front of the train or the back of the train? Because I could tell you right now, I could tell you your future if you're on the back of the train, and it's not pretty. Now, in the movie Snowpiercer, which I'm going to show you a clip, there's a clip where they showed what was in the food that the people at the back of the train were eating. And it turned out to be crickets. They had these protein bars that they were eating. That's all they had. That's all the food that they had. While the people at the front of the bus were eating lobster and sushi and everything. And not only was this movie really good, with really good symbolism, but it was actually propaganda, predictive programming, because they actually came out with Snowpiercer cricket protein bars at Comic-Con, which is insane. So these films are more than just films. These films are predictive programming to prepare you to eat the bugs. I'm going to show you this clip.
So that's how it's made. Still hot.
Wow, look at them all. And you do some nice work.
That's right, man. There's your food. There's your protein block.
That is your future. If you don't have XRP, you're going to be stuck with CBDCs in the lower rung of the two-tier society, eating bugs. The choice is yours.